What's up, good peoples? I am in here early today. And I'm glad I am because where's my hard drive? So that I can record for you guys in case we can so we can do the replay. So who all's in here? I see two people. Give me a quick second. I'll be right back. All right. That was scary. I thought I wasn't going to be able to record. But listen, so one of the reasons why in my last email I said, come on a little early. And, people still didn't do it. But so that you can ask some questions beforehand. And my goal tonight, I actually want to try to get you guys to be a little bit more interactive. I know I'm teaching, but I want you guys to give me some kind of feedback. So it's higher than recommended bit rate. We recommend that you use a stream bit rate of 2500. Well, I've never seen that before. Let's see what that means. Recommended bit rate. We recommend you use it. So let me ask you guys something. Whoever's watching, am I glitchy? Is it clear? Does it look like it's doing fine, or is it doing some crazy stuff? Because this thing is telling me that my bit rate is too high, but I don't want to lower it because I don't want the quality to go down. So if somebody could put in the chat if it's clear to you, let me know. Stream is healthy. Sending me another message. I don't want it to I don't really want it to mess up. And well, I guess if it does, I'll know, and I'll quickly change the bit rate and get right back on and finish what I'm doing. It's the beauty of live, right? I need some lotion. It's the beauty of doing it live. You're gonna always have some kind of technical difficulties. Perhaps, maybe not always, but you can have some technical difficulties. I was trying to bring my Facebook family in, but I didn't get that camera. No, I didn't get my phone set up quick enough to do that. So Facebook won't be able to join. Let's see. Maybe I can. I have 2 minutes. Let's see if I can get the Facebook people on here real quick. Let's see. No questions before we start, huh? That's what I was hoping. Becoming a wife, part 2. eavesdrop. You guys can eavesdrop. No, not waves drop. Your phone think it's smarter than you. I said eaves. Ain't that's how you spell it? Eavesdrop? Oh, it's one word. Well, yeah, I guess you're smarter than me. My bad. Eavesdrop on this conversation. All right. So if you just got on here, what I'm doing is I think I'm going to allow my Facebook fans to eavesdrop. So let me put this over there so they can see it. And then we'll get started. We'll get started right after this. Wow. No, I can't let Facebook get on because they're gonna they just gonna have to miss out. That's what that is. Because I can't let Facebook get on because I don't have the right setup for it. I don't have another camera, and my phone is the angle's too wide, and you'll get to see. They'll see my mess, so I need to keep it nice and neat. See if I can put it here for them to see. No, they just gonna have to miss it. All right. Let me try one more thing. See if I put it here. If they can. All right. They may can join like that. All right. We getting ready to start. You guys ready? It's 6 o'clock on the dot. I am about to start. Y'all know I like my intro video. So, no question. Sonia. Hey, Sonia. How's it going? All right. So, let me start the Facebook one first before I do my intro. Let them know that this, the paper that you see up behind me, that's my other background, and it's not on there. So, what's up, Facebook? I'm getting ready to do a live, just kind of letting you guys eavesdrop. I will not be talking to you, but you can hear it. Why? Because I think this is going to be valuable information for you. This thing is still saying that the bit rate is too high. So, hopefully, if it starts to glitch or something like that, then you guys let me know. All right? Okay, let's get started. Good evening and welcome to another live webinar. I am your host, Clifton Brantley, and I am glad that you've taken this time to join me this evening. Tonight, we're going to continue our talk on becoming a wife. I'm gonna move my keyboard out of the way because I talk with my hands. So, becoming a wife. And, you know, why do I talk about becoming a wife if you're already married? Well, because just because you get married doesn't mean that you know how to perform in the role that you signed up for. Interestingly enough, someone asked me, what qualifies you to tell women, how to be a wife or how to become a wife? Shouldn't that be a woman's job? That's a good question. But the reason that I can tell you about becoming a wife is because of two reasons. Number one, what it means to be a wife is not subjective, meaning you don't get to make it up any kind of way you want. Okay, the creator of marriage has already established what it means to be a wife. So I'm just making you aware of what he said. Okay, and then number two, the wife is for the husband. Okay? The wife is for the husband. There's no one else that needs a wife but a husband. And so as a man, I can help you understand what your husband needs from you. As a matter of fact, that is exactly what we're talking about tonight. Okay, I want to help you understand what your husband needs so that you can excel in the role of wife. Now, last week we talked about the mindset that's necessary for change, and we talked about what makes it difficult to embrace a different perspective than the one that you've always had. If you see and do marriage in a way that is different than the creator of marriage, then you're going to struggle more than necessary in marriage. We also talked about submission and respect. Remember, submission is not about being subservient or less than. Okay? It is a voluntary submission, voluntarily submitting to the authority of your husband. The authority of the husband is not based on his performance as a husband. It comes with the position. That is why, single ladies, you need to be careful about who you choose to give that authority in your life to. Okay? If the person you are considering to give the authority of your life to, if he does not treat you the way God would treat you, then I strongly encourage you to pump your brakes. Okay? Now, I'm not saying wait for a man that's perfect, but like David, he needs to be a man after God's own heart. What does that mean? It means that he is already himself submitted to God. Okay? He's submitted to God as the authority over his life, and that happens before you guys started dating. When I guess if you're already dating, like we can't go backwards, so if you're already dating, definitely before you get married, that needs to be in place, right? Now, he will mess up. He might mess up big. David messed up big. However, David always sought the presence of God. Okay? He always sought to be in God's presence. David also had an attitude of gratitude, right? He always had an attitude of gratitude towards God. And then David was offended by the things that offended God. That's what got Goliath's head chopped off. David was offended by what God was offended by. So, but anyway, as I was saying, submission does not mean less than or less important. And I know, men and the culture have done a terrible job at explaining submission and putting that on women to the point to where it's a heavy burden and almost like a prison, right? And so that's unfortunate. That was never God's design. Okay, so we talked about that last week. I'm not going to revisit that tonight. Okay, so tonight I want to talk about 4 basic needs of a husband. Now, I'm not saying that these are the only 4. These are the 4 that I came up with because we can't talk all night, right? I had to have a stopping point. So 4 basic needs of a husband. Now, let me make sure I say this. When I speak of needs in this context, I'm not suggesting that these are survival needs like food and water. Okay? Now, nor am I suggesting that these are prerequisites for your husband to love you. All right? There's nothing that you have to do in order for your husband to love you. All right? These needs are significant in that they facilitate a healthy marriage and a stronger bond between you. Okay? So that's what I mean by need. So here we go. The first basic need from a wife that a husband has is respect. Now, I know we covered respect last week, but it has to be included in this list of basic needs because it is very crucial, right? Now, while validation of all 4 of the needs I'm going to talk about tonight can be found in the life manual, respect is spoken of specifically for the husband, and it is a command. Now, the other 3 can be applied to the basic needs of a wife as well. But when women are commanded to respect their husbands, it's not simply about obeying what God said, but rather the key to how the man thrives. Okay? You need to get that. It's not just, God said it, so do it. No. It's how it works. It's how the man functions. A man without respect, a man, but I'm specifically talking about husbands. Without respect, the husband will malfunction. He's going to malfunction, okay? You will not get the best out of your husband with disrespect. Even if you want to like correct him on something, or if he's wrong in something and you need to help him be right, you're not going to get there through disrespect. You can have the right information, but give it to him in a disrespectful way, and it won't go well, right? So now there are three key areas that I've identified that a wife's disrespect tends to show up the most. Okay, so they disrespect tends to show up most in her words, in her attitude, and in her support. Okay, so let's talk about those now. When it comes to your words, be mindful of how you share complaints. Okay, I think I talked about that last week with you guys. I've talked about it a few times this week, so I can't remember if it was you guys last week or not. But having a complaint is not a bad thing. Okay, it simply means that you have a problem and you need customer service, right? But oftentimes, wives, your complaint is actually criticism. Criticism is never uplifting or encouraging. Remember, your husband is a part of the same marriage that you are in. So harming him harms the marriage. But it's not just complaints. You also have to be mindful of how you share the truth. Okay? How you deliver the truth may be the difference between him listening and him becoming offended. Be wise and know when the situation is sensitive so that you can speak more careful, speaking the truth in love. Okay. Now, look, I often make these analogies about marriage to help you get an idea of how to do what you signed up to do. For example, I often say that, the police, love is like the police officer in his car cruising through the neighborhood looking for opportunities to be a police officer. In the same way, love is always looking for opportunities to express itself, right? Love is always looking for opportunities to love. So like I'm a lover, but I'm not always loving, like doing the action. But the love that I have is always looking for opportunities to express itself. Okay. I've also said that being married is like being a fireman. When your spouse is in trouble emotionally, instead of running away, you go in to rescue, regardless of if you're the one that caused the fire or not. Okay. So tonight I have a new analogy for you tonight. Sometimes a wife has to be like the bomb squad, right? When it's a sensitive situation that could blow up, you have to be careful of what wires to pull so that the bomb does not go off. Your words can heal or your words can harm, right? Proverbs 16:24 says, kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. And then Proverbs 18:20 says, wise words satisfy like a good meal. The right words bring satisfaction. Okay. Now, the second one I mentioned was your attitude. Your attitude can also be disrespectful. It's amazing to me as a man. It's amazing to me how clear attitude messages can be without any words, right? I understand you feel how you feel, but your bad attitude won't get you the help. Won't help you get what it is that you're wanting, right? Your husband's not going to respond in a positive or loving way to your bad attitude. For some reason, we humans mistakenly think that our attitude or anger is justifiable punishment for our partner when they get out of line. It's not, right? It's not justifiable. And then the third area that disrespect often shows up is in your support or your lack thereof. Now, this one is tricky, right? Because wives often think they're supporting their husbands when they really are challenging him. For example, husband comes home excited with a new idea about how to generate money, and then he shares it with you. Instead of being excited about him, you focus on the shaky idea. and you begin to poke holes in it. Now, you may say, well, if it was a solid idea, then I shouldn't be able to poke holes in it. That's not the point, though, right? The point is, instead of supporting him, it feels like you're trying to find a way to be against him. Now, I didn't say that you were against him or the idea. I said it feels like it to him. Whatever the idea is, he's not going to go do it today. So be excited about him without being fake. And then the next day, or maybe that night or whatever, ask follow-up questions for clarity. But be careful that your questions don't come across as prove it to me, okay? Because then that'll feel like disrespect. But now, actually, that leads me to the second basic need that your husband has, which is grace. Now, by grace, I mean letting him fail without trying to fix or correct his idea. Now, of course, if you see your husband heading towards destruction, then you stop him, right? You don't let him just fall into destruction. But most times that's not the case, right? When he has an idea, give him grace to fail, right? Let him fail at it. And then when he does fail, comfort him in his failure. Why would you do that? Because the marriage is more important than you proving that you're right. It's easy to support a man that never fails, but there are no more men like that left. Like the only one we had, he got crucified, so there's no more, right? The real test is, can you support him when he fails, right? Can you support him when he's not perfect? Jimmy Evans says that the maturity of a wife can be seen in how she responds to her husband's failures. All right. Showing grace allows you to honor your husband at the level that you want him to be instead of where he is. Remember, don't forget this. Becoming a husband is learned, just like becoming a wife. You can maximize your husband to be greater by the way that you show grace and offer support. Okay? Walking in grace allows you to cover his faults and reflect his strengths. Right? The Life Manual says, love covers a multitude of wrongs. Now, I did not say love excuses wrongs. It says it covers them. Right? Don't allow your husband's faults and weaknesses to be exposed to the world. Now, I know I have to tread lightly here to make sure that I don't give you the wrong impression, okay? I'm not saying make excuses for your husband. I'm not saying that at all, right? And if you are in an abusive relationship, I'm definitely not saying don't tell someone for your safety. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about good husbands with weaknesses and shortcomings, okay? He needs to be able to trust you with his whole self. Now, I'll talk more about that when I get to the fourth basic need, actually. But having a habit of walking in grace is a good thing so that you can be better at being a life partner, right? Proverbs says that the wise woman builds her home, but a foolish woman with her own hands tears it down. Now, number 3, the third basic need for your husband is friendship and companionship. Yes, I hear you, women. Yes, both the husband and wife need this, but we're talking about becoming a wife tonight, right? So, to be the best companion for your husband, you have to know your husband. To know him means you have to be an investigator. Now, when I say investigate, I don't mean checking his phone. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm talking about investigating, an investigator, like trying to find out what makes this man tick. Okay, what drives his motor, right? Men typically bond through activities. Find out what he likes and see if there's a way that you can connect with him in the thing that he likes, right? Some of the best times that me and my fiance has had was when we were sitting on the couch laughing our heads off, right? Just laughing. We try to laugh as much as possible when we're together. And when couples come to me and they say, we don't have anything in common, I say, how is that possible when you both live on the same planet? What you're really saying, or what you really mean, is this: we currently do not have a lot of things, currently do not have anything that we like to do together, and we're not interested in finding out what that is. All right, that's what that really means. There was a couple who was having a difficult time, and they good couple, but they were just kind of stuck. So one day the wife asked the husband, if she can go hunting with him. And so he was shocked, like, yeah, because hunting is not what she do. The wife is not interested in hunting, right? But she wanted to show him that she was interested in him. So they go hunting. That one act of interest turned their whole marriage around, because while they were hunting, her husband opened up to her about things he had never shared with anybody. So being a friend includes having fun. It includes spending time. But honestly, the most valuable friend is the one who is there when life hurts. Proverbs 18:14 says, the human spirit can endure a sick body, but who can bear a crushed spirit? And sometimes personality clashes can make it difficult to be soothing or comfort to your husband when life happens. Or sometimes you've been tricked into believing certain things about men and how tough they should be, and then that has caused you to not show up for him as the friend and companion he needs. But that is why you have to become a suitable mate for your specific husband. And then that leads me to the fourth basic need of the husband, which is to have a safe place where he can be vulnerable. The husband needs a safe place where he can be vulnerable. Let me make sure, because I feel like I'm skipping one. So I said respect. What was the second one? Let's see if y'all are paying attention. Respect. Y'all not gonna help me. It's a pop quiz. Sonia, look like you're the only one interacting with me. But what are the three? Do. Okay. Y'all want me to? Okay. Respect, grace. What was the third one? What was the third one? Friendship, grace. Yes. Okay. So respect, grace, friendship, and companionship. And then the last one is he needs a safe place to be vulnerable. Okay. Your husband needs a place where he can just be vulnerable. Now, I've shared before about how men are raised in a way that prevents us from being fully human. I don't know who came up with the fabulous idea that in order for men to be men, that they need to not cry, and they need to not have emotions, and they need to have no fear and always know what to do. As crazy as that sounds, that is exactly how most husbands show up to marriage. Vulnerability is required for love to flow. But men are often unable to be vulnerable because of destructive conditioning. By the time we're adults, we are usually masters of disguise. The real problem is that we're wearing our masks for so long that rarely does a man show up to marriage knowing who he is. And then the ones who think that they know who they are, that was me, they only think that because they've come to believe that this false self is who they really are. Right now, with this whole pandemic, the world is getting to see kind of what it's like to be a man, because men walk around in masks all the time. You've heard it said that the male ego is fragile, and that is true. But it was not that way when they got to the planet, right? Something happened between the years of 0 and 8. That kid interacted with broken people, and they convinced him to believe things about himself that are not true. Uh, Having emotions is very human. Okay, uh, having feelings is human, right? The destruction that this belief causes, the destruction that this causes inside is so detrimental to the family and to marriage, because the husband is supposed to be the foundation, but all he knows is to act like a husband. That act is based on what he's seen and heard, but he can't keep up the act when life happens. When life requires him to have a healthy heart, when life requires him to give, because he's not good inside, because it was stolen from him in childhood. Being a husband instead of acting like a husband requires vulnerability. And if the wife does not understand the seriousness of his condition, she can injure him in a way that makes it almost impossible for him to be authentic. You have to make it safe for your husband to be vulnerable, because being vulnerable is a scary thing, right? Some of you women were raised like boys, where you have difficulty being vulnerable as well. But look, watch this. You are not designed to be tough. You are designed to strengthen one another. I was talking to a client the other day, and he told me how hard it is normally for him to be vulnerable, but he decided to do it. So he opens up. And when he does, the wife became unsafe because she made insensitive comments about what he shared. And the thing is, she had no clue of what she did. Another client told me that one day he just broke down crying, and the wife just stared at him. And then when he finished, she just got up and walked out. He was crushed by her just getting up and walking out, not saying anything. But what he didn't know is that she had too been conditioned. She didn't know what to do, because she also had been conditioned that men don't cry. She thought that hugging him would make him feel weak. Listen, please don't ever forget, we are human before we're anything else. And humans need hugs. Humans need care. Humans need compassion and companionship when in trouble. By the way, one of the most destructive lies ever to the human being is the lie that crying is a sign of weakness. Listen when I tell you this. Crying is normal. It is a normal human reaction. And not only is it normal, but it means the same thing from the cradle to the grave. What is that? Come close to me. Come see about me. That's all it means. I have a need. Babies cry, they need to eat. It still means come close to me. Come see about me. When you see a man cry, come close to me. Come see about me. So ladies, let me share with you some things that you should not say if you're going to make it safe for him to be vulnerable. Okay, some things that you should not say. First thing, don't tell your husband to be a man. He is a man. And if in that moment he's not acting like a man, then find a different way to help him understand your complaint without insulting him. Okay? And then don't say similar things like man up or get some balls or, stop being weak. All right? You get the idea. That surely is not the way to safely defuse the bomb. Right? You talk that way, it's probably going to explode in your hands. You're not going to have any fingers. Right? Okay. Here's another one. Don't treat your husband like a child. That is actually probably one of the most frequent things that husbands tell me. She talked to me like I'm a child. She treat me like a child. Listen, your husband does not need you to mother him. Now, sometimes it is difficult for wives to distinguish her roles from wife and mom, right? And so then she tends to end up mothering the whole house. But even if you feel like he's acting like a child, it's not going to work in your favor, nor in the family's favor, for you to talk to him or treat him like a child. And I said this earlier, but when I was talking about grace, but don't be so quick to criticize and point out his flaws. Your goal is to help him be great so that your marriage will be better. Now, I know a lot of times husbands have put their wives in certain situations and have hurt them really bad, and it makes it difficult for her to meet these four needs. I get that. I do get that. No one ever promised it would be easy, okay? But I'm primarily speaking to those who have not given up on their marriage and they want to get to the next level of thriving, not just surviving, okay? Now, there are always exceptions, okay? There are some husbands who are toxic. There are some husbands who do things that for you to do the things that I've described here would make it unsafe for you, okay? But don't go looking for the exception, okay? Don't go looking for it. If it were easy, then everybody would be doing it. The divorce rate wouldn't be what it is, okay? But marriage works 100%. What's outside of 100%? Nothing. Marriage works 100% of the time when it is done the way the creator of marriage designed it. His design is perfect. All you have to do is follow it. Now, the biggest challenge with following it is not allowing him to fill your heart with love instead of the culture filling your mind with ideas that run counter to how he designed it, right? When you don't know the purpose of something, abuse is inevitable. And too often we have people getting married for the wrong reasons. As a matter of fact, I believe that almost everybody gets married for the wrong reasons. I know I did twice. For the wrong reasons. Here are the reasons that folk get married, primarily. I've never felt this way. This person is amazing. Our chemistry is amazing. This has to be my mate. Getting married because of how you feel is the wrong reason. Why? Because based on how they make you feel, you're signing up to be a lifetime giver. See, you thought you were signing up to be a receiver. No. But when you come to marriage, you come to give. Receiving is your benefit, but giving is your obligation. And another reason people get married is for happiness. Marriage is not the place you come for happiness. Happiness is an individual phenomenon. The way you have a happy marriage is you have two happy people who do marriage together. But it's not your spouse's responsibility to make your life happy. Okay? That's not going to happen. So I hope this was helpful tonight. And I am now open for questions. And now since I have Facebook on here, I guess I'm going to speak to both of you. I might as well speak to you guys since you're on here. But let's see. You were just giving me the rundown. Yes. So, wait, it's delayed. Like how? What kind of delayed? Like messed up delayed? Anyway, if you guys have any questions, I'll be on here for a few minutes to answer your questions. And I know tonight, probably invoked some questions. So let me ask you this: if anything that I said tonight resonated with you, let me know in the chat. Let me know what stuck out to you the most in what I said tonight. Give me some feedback. I'm trying to learn how to do this whole feedback thing. What stood out to you? I thought tonight was really important in understanding what your husband needs. Now, like I said, I know there are some situations where trying to walk these things out is actually dangerous because you have a toxic husband, right? And I talk about how the husbands should treat the wives in the becoming a husband. And I know I said I was going to do it, and I still am. I just hadn't gotten around to. I promise you, I'm going to do another video in that series and get more in depth, like this one was. See, like this session here, I believe was more in depth than last week. And the husbands need something very similar, where I talk about the 4 needs, or I can come up with 4 needs that the wife has. Because when we show up to marriage, like who taught you? I always ask my clients, who taught you how to do marriage? Right. That's the same person that taught everybody. Nobody. Where you gonna learn that? How do you get in this most significant relationship and then be great at it without any instruction? You didn't create it. You didn't design it. Right? So you need help in knowing how to be effective at it. Well, yeah, that's because I understand that. That's because of Facebook is ahead. It's the whole, technology thing. It's, I thought you meant it was out of sync as far as the sound and the video. So let's see. How do you get your husband to let his guard down, even if you've been a supportive listener and allowed him to cry in front of you? His guards are still up and doesn't open up to community. So that's a really good question. I was thinking about that as I was doing this, but believe it or not, I said, someone may have a question, so I'm not gonna put that in there. So I'm glad you asked that. And it's not a setup. I didn't tell her to ask this. So that can be a challenge because of what I shared as far as the condition of husbands. And, by the time we're 5, most of what a husband needs, most of what a man needs to be a husband has been stolen. Right. And so being in marriage, even though you're my life partner, there's still other things in there that's preventing me from just being vulnerable. So the thing that I'll tell you is you have to continue to be patient, but also too, you can find a therapist that will help you help him. Right. Especially, and this is key. If he wants to open up, but he just doesn't know how. Okay. A lot of times what we get from our spouses is not because they don't love us or because they're being ugly. It's because it's what they know how to do, even when it's destructive sometimes. That's the only way I know how to deal with my anger. That's the only way I know how to share my frustration. If you learn it wrong, you'll live it wrong. Right? In order to do better, you have to learn it and do it better. You have to learn better to do better. Right? So you can talk to him in times when he's not being vulnerable. Talk to him, sit him down and say, love, I really would like for you to open up so that I can love you better. Because if the world has told him, conditioned him to believe that being vulnerable gets you crucified, and I don't mean crucified like I talked about earlier, I mean gets you ridiculed and shamed, then what are you going to do to convince me that it's safe? Number one. But then also too, when going back to the friendship and companionship, that's another thing about doing activities with your husband, because a lot of times men will open up around activities. So if you guys go do something instead of sitting on the couch to try to have a deep conversation and wanting him to open up that way, he may not do it. But if you go out to do something together, you guys can have a more fluid conversation, and that will, I believe that'll fall. And sometimes doing that also too, the having fun will foster chains. I call chains falling off his mind in the relationship. So it plants seeds of being vulnerable later. And then, like I say, he probably just doesn't know the benefit of it. I didn't. And I wasn't like most men in a lot of ways, but I still had, some, and still do. I'm still human, still some difficulties in being vulnerable. But I I always like expressing myself. But if I express myself and I don't get a certain response, then I'll shut down and I'm probably not sharing again. Well, that's how I used to be, you know. But I had to learn to be different. It's not easy. And I'm not making excuses for men. But here's the point I was gonna make. Once I learned the what's a good word? Once I learned the all I have is the value. I was trying to find something weightier than that. But once I learned the value of being vulnerable and how beneficial it is to me, it made me want to work on it more. Why? Because while out in the world, I still got to wear this mask. At home, I can be human. And being human is what I so desire because I'm tired of wearing this mask. And so once I learned that being vulnerable is going to bring her close to me, being vulnerable is going to have her to care for me and not put me down and criticize me, I was open to not open to doing it because I still had to learn, but I was open to learning how to do it. The husband and wife relationship is so jacked up because of mindsets and beliefs, but we are equal partners, and we should be. God designed it to where we would really thrive and complement each other. It's supposed to be a complementary thing, but too often we compete as opposed to complementing. So I hope that answered your question. As far as how to get him to open up, it takes time. Now, I'm saying it takes time. You may be saying, well, shoots, how much time? It's been 5 years. It's been 10 years. It's been 15 years. Like, how much time do I give him? Well, here's the thing. How much time does it take, or how much time would you spend if from Houston you get on 45 South trying to get to Dallas? All right. It's going to take you a while. Or here's a better one, because it's not going to take you long to get to Galveston and be like, hey, this ain't it. But from Houston to get to California, you go I-10 east. Just because you drive several hours, even days maybe, going the wrong way, doesn't mean that, we've been doing it this long now, and when you turn around, it's just going to, no, you got to turn around and go back. All right? I hope that makes sense. It made sense when it was in my head. I don't know if it made sense when it came out, but my point is, don't let how long you've been doing something be a discourager if you've been doing it the wrong way all this time. Turn around and do it the right way, and then measure by that. Okay? Yeah. Oh, I wanted to mention this too, and this wasn't in my notes, but did you notice there's something that I believe the culture and sometimes preachers and other folk say is part of a man's basic needs? Something I left out that's pretty obvious. Can y'all, I'm gonna let somebody try to guess what that is, either on Facebook or Kim. Kim said that didn't make sense. Can anybody guess what I left off? Something that the culture says is, this is a man's need. Like, you gotta. I intentionally didn't put it in my 4 because I don't believe it. Okay, I'm gonna give it to you because y'all slow. Not slow like in slow, like slow in responding. Sex. Sex. So there's this book called, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but Free Human. I'm my own boss. There's this book called His Needs, Her Needs. A lot of people love it and swear by it. I bought the book because I wanted to read it. I'm all about growing. But I couldn't get past, I want to say it's chapter 4, where it says the husband's number one need is sex. I said, baloney. That's a lie. Who told you that? That's not true. And then I got another book. It said the same thing. Lies. That is not true. Sex is, if we're talking about needs in the context that I was talking about, sex is a human need. That's not a man or that's not a man's, right? To me, that sounds like the culture influencing what the creator designed, because I can't find that anywhere in the life book that a husband's greatest need is sex. His desire is no greater than hers, right? That's relative. There are some women who have greater desire. There are some men who have greater desire. Now, how we approach sex is different, right? Men are turned on by what they see. Women primarily by how they feel. Yeah, but that doesn't mean. Are there any women? Maybe I'm not talking. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Are there any women? Are there any normal women that don't like sex? I didn't say sex with your husband. I didn't put any kind of conditions on it. I'm just talking about sex in general. No. Normal. I'm talking about normal. I know there's an exception for every situation, but sex is not a man's greatest need. Now, as far as a husband and a wife, sex is very much important. Okay, don't miss that, right? Because in the beginning, when God created the whole marriage thing, sex was in there. He said, "The two shall become one flesh." He's talking about sex. Okay, so sex is very important for a marriage, but I'm saying it's not one of the husband's basic needs, because your sex life, let me just give you this for free. Your sex life is usually a symptom or sign of your connection. So if you guys are not having a lot of sex, check your connection. Now, watch this. Your connection can be weak, not actually due to you guys fighting, but it could be because y'all too busy, which then means your marriage is not first. Marriage only works if it's first. Don't miss that. Marriage only works when it's first. Marriage has to come before your job, before yourself, before your children. As a matter of fact, if you put your children before the marriage, you harm the children, because the thing that they need is a healthy marriage to see and grow up in. So honoring each other is the best thing for your children, right? Put them in their place, put a boundary up, say, hey, this is y'all spot, this is our spot. You cannot invade the marriage relationship. Okay? Marriage only works when the marriage is first. Your job being first, I don't care how poor you are and how much you need to come up. If you put your marriage to the side, you will suffer, because he designed it that way. God's not going to do anything. I realize there's not a whole lot that God actually does to us when we mess up. It's just built into the system. Like, I like using the example of the law of gravity. You jump off a building. God doesn't hurt you by making you hit the ground. It's built into the system. Don't do that. You're not designed to fly. Okay? You try to, breathe underwater, you're going to suffer in the same way. If you try to do life in a way different than how he designed it, you will suffer. And I'm saying that from the place of suffering a lot, y'all not. I've suffered a lot because I've tried to do so many things my way. And finally I got tired. I'm like, you know what? I quit. What you got? Show me, because I don't know what I'm doing. Obviously. Tired of suffering. Suffering for that, right? You're going to have suffering in life in general, but I don't want to suffer for, living in a way that's contrary to how he designed me. Any more questions? Let's see. Normal is relative. That is 100% true. I agree with that. I tried to qualify it as best I could, but you're right. Normal is relative. That's true. But the main point that I was making is sex is not a man need. It's a human need. It's a marriage need. Okay. And that should be handled with care. People even use that in the life manual to be abusive. You got to give it to me whenever I want. Yeah. So if you read that, then how does that line up with the law of love that the rest of the book talks about. It doesn't, so it can't mean that. And it's not going to contradict itself. So when you read something, this is just another tip, and then I'm ending after this. If you read something in the life manual, the reason why I call it life manual because some folk are scared of the word Bible, so I'm just trying to help you. If you read something in the life manual, and then you read something else, and they seem to contradict, then that means that it's more than meet the eye, like Transformers. It's more than meet the eye. It's something under the surface. It means something different than what you think because it does not contradict itself. It doesn't. And everything in there is not literal. Okay, we can't do a lesson on that. That's not next time, but so next week, let me give you that. Next week, I think I am going to, unless you wives tell me you need more. I mean, I know you need more, right? But I mean, it's like we can't do wives every week. And, because we still got husbands. I want to do some parenting stuff. But next week, I think I'm going to do conflict resolution again. Because if you can't resolve conflict, your relationship cannot grow. Period. As a matter of fact, if you can't resolve conflict, it will die. That don't mean divorce. There are so many dead marriages that are not, in divorce, right? But I think next week I want to talk about conflict resolution to help you know how to fight fair, rules of engagement, how to, you don't want to be like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You seen that movie? Both of them are like assassins or whatever, and then they get a hit out on each other. So they think they go to their house and they're trying to shoot each other. They tear up their own house. Don't be that way where, you're so angry that you're fighting that you tearing up your own marriage. Like you got to live in the marriage after you do all of that raising hell. You still got to live in the marriage. Don't do that. All right. There's a way to confront. There's a way to have a complaint. I need to add that to my course too, the complaint versus criticism. And then there's a way to repair. Right, I want to talk about those things next week. I want to talk about those things last week. That doesn't make sense. I want to talk about those things next week. Talk about conflict resolution. So, thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate your time and attention. And Facebook, I'll let you guys join in for a little while. And the reason you see that little thing above my head because I was trying to put up a new background, but it didn't work, and I ain't feel like taking it down. So the folk on here, you don't see that, but it's up above my head. Not music, the thing. All right. So you guys have a good evening. Again, I do not take it lightly that you allow me to speak into your life every week. I appreciate it. And I hope that I'm bringing value to you. If I'm not, please feel free to email me with your complaints. I have good customer service. Email me with your complaints or concerns because I want to create content that's relevant to you, right? Relevant to the people that are watching. Not trying to just create general content that, I can do that all day, but I want to help you do love and life better. So if there's things that you want to hear more about or whatever, just let me know. All right. You guys enjoy your weekend. And as always, please stay safe. Where's my mouse? I was trying to give you guys a time to do another question, but no questions. All right. Have a good evening, guys.